Dungeons. Expansive labyrinths completely filled with dangerous mobs. 5 skyblock players joining together to defeat the bosses of the Catacombs. But what if it was just one player? What if you were all on your own? Welcome to the Solo Dungeons Only profile. Before we start, let's set the rules in place. I will be allowed to buy dungeon gear, however only if the money I buy from it is made from dungeons. I am allowed to buy a Terminator with any monies, because it's obtained from Enderman Slayer. However, since a Hyperion is obtained from dungeons, I can only buy it with dungeon profit. Since this profile's creation about 20 days ago, while I did MEM7 on my other profile, whenever my party wasn't playing I would switch profiles and slowly farm towards a better setup. While progress was slow, it eventually built up to 50 mil net worth, where the journey started. I was able to buy an aspect of the void from the spare money due to all the farming I did. With it I went and farmed crypt goals until combat level 12. Reaching that gave me the option of going to the end, where I ended up going to improve my combat level as well as gear. I killed a lot of endermen, watchers, obsidian defenders as well as mined some shiny blocks, and with that I slowly got up to combat 15, full ender equipment and a dragon shortbow. I also bought a monster hunter set along with a lion pet to help me beat the first dungeon. Because Hypixel doesn't allow you to go into a dungeon solo until a floor 3 completion, I got my friend to wait in the party and leave the dungeon every time it starts, which is why I'll be trying to get floor 3 finished as fast as possible. The entrance floor wasn't much of a challenge. My damage was too low to one-tap mobs, which slowed out the clear a bit, but in the end it didn't cause me any trouble. Floor 1 wasn't any harder. While clearing it I also dropped a machine gun bow, which was going to be my main weapon until a floor 4 completion. In the boss fight Bonzo didn't really stand a chance. My machine gun shortbow didn't deal much damage, but it was more than enough to finish the fight. Where the problem started was floor 2. I kept dying over and over, either in clear or in boss fight. After struggling a lot, I decided to purchase an entire set of Young Dragon armor to increase my speed and effective health over the previous Monster Hunter armor. In the end, I spent 25 attempts on getting the completion, however that allowed me to enter floor 3. The clear in floor 3 was much more challenging, however I knew I can get a completion as long as I reach the boss fight, because the professor can be cheesed. That didn't stop me from dying though. I managed to clear the blood room after getting a few blessings, and it was time to fight the guardians. My damage was really low, so my strategy was to get the guardians low and finish them all at once. I managed to get the floor 3 completion first try, but only then began the true grind. To progress any further I would need the adaptive armor set. While the cheese strats allowed me to consistently complete the floor, this early on damage per second is a large problem in solo runs, and it blocked me from getting any fast runs. I was averaging around 8 minutes per run, with 3 of those alone being the boss fight. Not long after, I would get my first piece, adaptive boots. However, I wouldn't be switching to adaptive until I get a full set, due to the speed advantage that Young Dragon armor has. I also dropped an adaptive helmet. Next, instead of putting my RNG meter on an adaptive chestplate, I decided to go for the recombobulator. While that may seem useless at first, doing that will allow me to sell it and convert my farming money into dungeon money. After 22 runs, with around a 90% on the RNG meter, I obtained the recombobulator. With the profit, I bought the remaining pieces of adaptive armor that I needed. Now that I had full adaptive, I felt ready to attempt floor 4. The clear was way harder than on floor 3, but I was eventually able to enter the boss fight and kill the spirit bears by shooting my bow from the crowd. Now that I had a floor 4 completion, it was time to buy the spirit shotbow since I had a lot of leftover money from the recombobulator I dropped in floor 3. It had significantly better stats than the machine gun bow I was using. I reforged it and spent some wither essence to put a star on it. However, with that, I'll be ending the first episode. You might want to subscribe to not miss the next one, because let's just say there's a lot of progress to cover.